All right, what's up, FBA Unfiltered crew? It's Taylor here with another update for my upcoming product launch. Here I am on my Kickstarter setup. So I thought I'd walk you guys through what I've done to set up this Kickstarter campaign, and then I will launch it. So we'll see how it goes. Full disclosure, this is the first Kickstarter campaign I've ever done, so this might not be the end-all be-all best way to do things, but I thought I'd show you guys in case any of you are thinking about doing a Kickstarter yourself, and you can just see behind the scenes how I actually did this. So we start on this first tab here, basics. I just put in a title for this new product. I actually double checked and made sure that this word here, or this name, Safe Scent, has not already been trademarked. Now, I haven't personally started the trademark process because I'm not sure that that's actually the name I want to use for the final product, but I thought it had a good ring to it. It worked in this case, so we're going to go ahead with that. Then I just added a little subtitle here, pretty straightforward. Kickstarter wants to know the categories for this product. So I put design, product design, and then and then they made me do a subcategory. So I chose fashion and pet fashion, which is kind of awkward. I don't really think that best describes the product, but it is what it is. Those are the best options you can see here. And there was art, comics, crafts, journalism, music. I didn't think any of those really made sense. And then there's nothing over here other than pet fashion. Basically, pet fashion is the only thing related to pets, even remotely. So I went with that. Put in my location here, then I put up a quick image, and I actually uploaded a video for this that maybe I'll show you at the end of this walkthrough, but I just made it really quick. You can see how low budget this video is. I just set up my iPhone and pressed record, and I went with it. Then, you have different options for how people pledge money. I don't want to enable pledge over time. I want people to pay in full when they pledge to the campaign. I'm not doing a target launch date, which just means that as soon as they approve this and I submit it, it just goes live, as opposed to being scheduled to go live on a particular day after I know it's already been approved. I'm just going to go for it. Campaign duration here. You could do a fixed number of days. I just opted to run it until a particular date. You can see there, July 18th at midnight, essentially. I've been trying to incorporate whatever little, tips they give you here from Kickstarter. They said less than 30 days is better. So I said, all right. Shipping, I selected to charge shipping at pledge, and then post campaign, no, I don't want to accept late pledges. It's mostly just because I don't want to have to make a different reward category for people who are pledging late. I just want to keep it real simple and straightforward since this is my first one. Okay, the next tab here is really brief. It's just the funding. I put in my email there because they wanted to generate some sort of spreadsheet. That's optional. You can see it's like a beta program they're running. I didn't actually do that. Instead, I set a very conservative goal of $2,700. Again, this isn't really so much a Kickstarter to raise the funds for me to launch this product or to do, in-depth R&D or anything like that. That might cost a lot of money. It is almost exclusively to try to get product testers. And the reason why I decided to go with a very conservative and low goal amount is because on Kickstarter, if you don't reach this goal number, you don't get any money. It's an all or nothing platform. So if you don't reach or exceed your funding goal, you don't get any money, and none of the people who pledged money receive anything from you. It's done. So I decided to keep it low. It can always go above that if more people decide to participate. But I wanted to keep it, as conservative as possible while still, making sure that it would actually be, a worthwhile amount of money at the end of the day. You can use a calculator here to calculate how much you should set your goal amount to be in order to account for Kickstarter's fees. I think they even charge, I think there's two fees. I think Kickstarter takes a cut, and then Stripe, their payment processor, also takes a cut. And then, this is probably going to be taxed at the end of the year. So I factored in a percent for taxation as well to get this number here. Okay, the next one is an important one. It's the rewards. So this took me a second to figure out, but essentially at first there's like a sub tab here, items. So this is where you can add different items, and then you can select which items correspond to which reward tiers. Now, maybe this is not the best way to do it, but I just made them the same. So the items, like this one here, beta tester pack, that is a reward tier, beta tester pack. So I didn't try to make it, fancy or complicated or anything like that. just threw up a quick picture of what that includes and went forward from there. You can see I have 3 different items here that people will receive, either the beta tester pack, the early adopter duo, or the cat anxiety management guide. This is a digital download. I'll show you why that's on there in a moment. If we go over here to reward tiers, this is where you create the rewards that your funders are going to receive should they pledge a certain amount of money. So you can see I did $2 here for a pledge, what I call a supporter. And anyone who opts into this tier gets a digital download, right? Basically an anxiety guide for cats, like how to manage cat anxiety and stuff like that. I wanted something that would be very easy for me to fulfill, something that can be fulfilled worldwide because there's no shipping costs associated, and something that, you know, maybe there's people that just think this is a cool idea, but they don't have a cat that needs a calming collar, or they don't want to be a tester, or etc. This is just a way that anyone could just support the project and receive, you know, something small in return for their small pledge. Then we have the main one here. This is the beta tester pack. So this is the most important one for me, right? So I tried to maximize the value included in this reward tier. Oh, I don't know what this means. Feature. Oh, I'm glad I just saw that. I'm going to feature this one because that's the most important one. That's the one I want most people to see and most people to click on. Maybe if we go in here, we can see more about it. Yes. So the beta tester pack, then there's a little description. It says, be the first to test our calming collar designs, receive 2 prototypes, and then receive 2 final production units. So this is essentially getting 4 units for $19. And so I'm trying to make that a really good bang for the buck for anyone who's interested in this, because again, this is the main reason why I'm doing this Kickstarter, is to get product testers. So that's what's happening there. Let's see if we go back here. Yes. And then if we come here to early adopter duo, this is basically like pre-orders, right? So anyone who wants to pre-order this essentially is just going to receive like a 2-for-1 discount. So they're going to get 2 units for $24. And so you can see, you know, this is more expensive and they get fewer items, or, you know, maybe the same amount of final production units as the testing tier. And that's on purpose because I would rather people opt into the beta tester tier to help me get that testing data and get feedback from customers. I didn't even do any add-ons, so we won't go over that. We'll come over here to the story. And this is, you know, this is where I put in a little bit of work trying to, you know, write a compelling piece of ad copy, essentially. You know, probably what would have been, if I wanted to do this a little more high ticket, I could have worked with like someone like a copywriter or someone who writes blog posts or something like that, and they could have drafted this. I just had ChatGPT draft this. So nothing crazy. And then I just added my own pictures. So when you do this, you can, like right here, it says, read more about telling your story. When I clicked that, it just gave me like a bullet point list of points to address in the story. And so I just fed that list into ChatGPT. It already knows all about this product because I've been using ChatGPT this whole time. So it just wrote this. We won't go into too much detail there. And you can see kind of what is going on. I've made sure to point out, you know, where we are in the process, what's going on. I added another video. And then basically the only shout out here in terms of reward tiers is about the beta tester tier. So again, I'm really trying to hone in on that as opposed to any other of the support tiers, and tells them, you know, what they get and why I need them, etc. We have a little breakdown of what the timeline is and then what their funding is going to go towards. I thought down here was also interesting. There's risks and challenges. So I made sure to include that. You know, figuring out how long the scent lasts, manufacturing concerns, and then regulatory considerations and stuff like that. So I made sure to be really upfront with all that in terms of, you know, what could potentially side rail this project and prevent people who are supporting it from getting what they signed up for. So I tried to be as transparent as possible there. And then there's this extra thing, environmental commitments. I selected these top 3 because I actually feel like I can follow through on this. So long-lasting design, that was kind of one of the entire reasons for starting this project. The collar is essentially reusable. So that's cool. Here we have again, reusability and recyclability. I'm trying to use a biodegradable wick made from sugarcane. So that lends itself to that. Same thing here with sustainable materials. So I thought that was a good thing to add. People always like that. And then we come over here to the plan. This is just, ooh, I didn't mean to make any changes, so hopefully that didn't mess anything up. The plan tab here is just like to keep you on track. You just click completed when you've done all this stuff. So I'm marking these as complete, and then that helps update people on where I am in the process. And we'll leave it there for now. People, this was just filling out my profile. Payment, I had to sign up for Stripe, and I had to put in my business information there, as well as a checking account and credit card. That's pretty standard. And then we come over here and we should be ready to do this. It says, you can't activate the page until they've approved it. So let's submit this to approval. I think I'll go over here to, oh, actually, before I do that, let me show you the preview, because I think that's the best way to view this. So here's the preview. We'll come back to the video, but as you scroll down, you see there's me. I wrote a little bio. This is actually interesting if we are looking on this right-hand column. Initially, I made this supporter pledge tier $1, but then when I saw this, they do their own thing for $1. So I thought, okay, well, I don't want to double dip, so I'll do $2. And then you can see as we come further down on the right here, they've got the beta tester pack with that featured thing, and then the early adopter duo, 2 people or 4 people who get, just the discount for pre-ordering essentially. And then you can see the whole story here, pretty straightforward. We just looked at that. And we can see the video here. I don't think you guys will hear any sound, but I'll just make sure to turn it off. You can see this is just super basic. I threw up some images here over my shoulder there, following along with the script. And that's that. Just asking people to participate in this project, help me turn it into reality. So that is that. I think I'm fine with how this looks for now. So let's try going to project overview and see if that's where I actually launched this from. Yeah. Okay. Send your project to review. Review is required. Okay. I think I've adhered by all the rules. Yep. Okay. We're going to send it. All right, there it is. Project is in review. So that was a quick look at my Kickstarter campaign. We'll see. Hopefully it gets approved and it goes live. And hopefully that was interesting to you guys who might be interested in using a Kickstarter campaign to help fund your new product. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.